Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of the Flashback Arcade. I am your host, Esteban Cuevas. With me today, I have Charlie Savidge.
Joe Screeny, dope pot Slaymo.
And Shawn Richards.
What's up, everybody?
What the hell did you just say?
Me?
Yes, Charlie, what did you just say? Explain
Something
yourself.
from the prequels.
Ugh. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen,
The things we can't talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you not done? Please continue.
We'll never discuss the prequels again on this show.
Why? Okay, this is episode 1. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would anyone want to discuss the prequels?
We won't. That's what.
Well,
we are in for one hell of a show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, apparently this is going to be a beautiful train wreck. In this show called the Flashback Arcade, where we talk about old video games, retro video games. And today our topic is Sonic the Hedgehog, to kick us off on a good note, perhaps? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
This was my idea because I am a mega Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I love him. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the very first game I ever played, and I think he's a great character. I think most of his games are good, and even though some of them are not quite as good, I still think the character still has a lot of merit. So let's get into this. Let's start off with the first games in the Sonic franchise we've ever played. Charlie, you're the youngest one, I believe, of us all.
Yeah.
So, what was the first game in the Sonic franchise you played?
Sonic 2.
Good!
I originally played it at a orthodontist office when my sister had to get braces on or something. So I just played it there because they had a Genesis hooked up.
Uh-huh. Really? In a dentist's office?
Yeah, in the orthodontist.
Orthodontist, yeah. That's weird. I've never heard of that.
They had that in the GameCube. It was like, all right, these are from very different times.
What dentist office did you go to? Because all I did at mine was look at magazines and, oh, hey, you're here to get your teeth pulled. Not, hey, you can play Sonic the Hedgehog.
I don't know.
The closest I ever got to that was I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club as a kid, and they had a TurboGrafx 16. Hey, I got to play Bonk's Adventure, so I'm happy.
Nice.
But that is
the classic character.
Yes, who hit
Bonk, never forget.
the caveman who hit things with his head.
One love.
Yeah. But
I have a feeling we'll be talking about him on this Flashback Arcade podcast one of these days.
Yeah, he'll be a topic for sure. But really, an orthodontist, did you enjoy the game?
Yeah. I got stuck, but it was fun.
Where'd you get stuck? Do you remember?
Same place I always get stuck at the 4th level of the game.
Casino? Casino night?
No, it's the second. In the second set, it's the second stage in the second set.
Chemical plant zone?
Oh, okay. Is it the blocks when the poisonous water is rising?
It's always right after that. I eventually make it past that, and then by the time I'm always down to 1 life, and then I get knocked off the edge by Eggman.
Oh.
Because that's my life. I finally did it. Oh, no. There's tiles rotating, and I'm going to die.
No, you can jump on top of Robotnik's head in that boss fight and just constantly bounce on him until, I think the 7th hit, and then just jerk yourself to the middle. He'll always miss the drop, and you won't fall through the tiles beneath him.
That would have been useful.
It's a glitch in the game because normally it's supposed to bounce you off of him and go in the opposite direction, but they didn't fix that. So,
oh,
yeah,
good to know.
Yeah, Shawn, how about you? What's the first Sonic game you ever played?
It was actually Sonic 1, believe it or not. Never finished it. Never finished any of the classic Sonic games actually, but it's just. It was during the time I was in my big retro phase where I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to play all the old games. And then I got my hands on the original Sonic the Hedgehog. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And then after the second stage, I was just like, this is not for me. It just wasn't. It just didn't click for me. The only Sonic game I think I've played to completion is Sonic Heroes. So
really, okay,
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So I guess you're not a fan of the older Sonic games.
It's.
Are you lukewarm on them?
I am lukewarm on them. I'm not the biggest fan, but I understand the appeal. It's not like I think Sonic should die or anything like that. I understand the appeal. It's just not appealing to me, given the older Sonic games.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay. No. All right. That's fine. You know what? That is not an unpopular opinion nowadays. Now, let me tell you why you're wrong. Okay, here's what I like about Sonic the Hedgehog, especially when you compare it to other platformers, especially made at the time, as well as, obviously his biggest comparison, Mario. The way that the levels are designed in Sonic the Hedgehog are meant for you to go fast, but they're not the primary objective. It's still a platformer. Just like all the other games. A lot of people forget that. Everyone's like, oh, Sonic, you got to go fast. Gotta go fast.
Yes.
That's not necessarily the case. Going fast is the secondary objective. It's always still about platforming. And because of that, Sonic is basically the first game with speed running in mind. Something that now Mario games do. They didn't do it back then. Now they do.
What you just said puts me in mind of it's basically a platformer with an added gimmick of speed, because that's, if you remember, that's what the Sega Genesis was all about. Yeah. That's the one trump card it had over the SNES, was the fact that it was so much faster. So they had to have a mascot and blast processing. Mm-hmm. So they had to have a mascot and therefore a platforming series where speed was emphasized. Therefore, Sonic the Hedgehog. Mm-hmm. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. But you also said it in the right order, though. It's a platformer first with the gimmick of speed. And in terms of it being a platformer, there's a lot more dynamic things happening in those games than in Mario. Because the way that Mario's designed is a lot of the same kind of ideas, just done in interesting ways. But Sonic's world and the kind of atmosphere that Sega gave him allows for a lot of different things, and as well as the speed that the game comes with. So that's why you have levels that can be in a city as opposed to a wooded area. That's why it can be ancient ruins. That's why it can be in a casino. That's one of Sonic's trademarks. What is a hedgehog doing in a casino? Well, it makes perfect sense with him.
He's also Japanese, so you have to consider that.
That's the other thing, though. A lot of people are like, Sonic is such a Japanese character. Not really. Sonic is very much the creation of both Sega of Japan and Sega of America. If Sega of Japan had their way, he would have had a female sidekick from the get-go. And he would have had all these really strange design quirks to him.
I mean, I don't know if this was for the original game or games after that, but wasn't it said that his personality was based off of Bill Clinton?
Yes, Bill Clinton. It absolutely is. That is a true thing. Let me tell you something. That was not an idea coming from Sega of Japan.
No, doesn't seem like it would be.
Yeah. His attitude, his personality is very much something coming from the American side of things. The fact that he's a hedgehog in blue is Japanese, but his personality, his influence, even his color
very
scheme,
90s.
His color scheme of him being blue and his shoes being red and white is American.
Yeah, I see that.
So,
and then he has the 90s attitude.
And that was a thing in America, not necessarily Japan. They don't have the same kind of, social, I can't think of the words I'm saying, but what's popular in social culture at that time in America is not the same as in Japan.
Yeah. Like, they're different countries. They're different places, different cultures.
Yeah, different places, different cultures. It's just like how it's not the same in Europe and the various countries in there. Britain, France, Germany. Italy, etc. So, I already said what my first game was. It was Sonic 2. Ever since then, I've loved that game because I played it at, I guess you could say it was a cousin's place, and they were playing 2-player of that mode. Mm-hmm. So actually, the first thing I ever played of that game was the 2-player mode. I'd never picked up a controller, never played anything before, and I picked it up and beat all of them.
Oh, jeez.
And after that, I was like, oh, I want to do this. Mom, Dad, can you get me, a console? And they did. It ended up being an NES, but still.
Yeah, so outside of the weird orthodontist, I've been going through and just, playing some of the other Sonic games. For some weird reason, at some point, I played the Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Oof.
It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It was comically bad, so I enjoyed that. But
I did not.
Then, I do not blame you.
Mm-hmm. Well, to that point, what's your favorite Sonic game then?
Sonic 2.
Sonic 2 is your favorite.
Yeah. Honestly, my biggest gripe with the Sonic games is that I think out of all things that Mario does better, I think Mario is a better platformer generally speaking. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
But
Traitor.
I think, oh, whatever. I was born in 1999. Traitor, sure. I think that's just a better game. I think that Sonic's bigger issue is not so much how it plays, but more so the progression seems to be steeper. I feel like the moment to moment it isn't hard, but it has times where you can get stuck.
Okay.
Because that just happens to be the trend with me for every time I play a Sonic game.
Okay. I could see that. Seeing how Sonic's designed, there's definitely been some sections in the older games where I can see that. I know the second act of the fourth level in Sonic 3 is notorious for having this section where you're closed off and you have to ride this barrel and you're supposed to use it to get out of the section. And no one ever figured out how to manipulate those things. So a lot of people ended up dying there and getting timed out, not being able to figure out what to do. Does this sound familiar to anyone?
I know I think I know what you're talking about.
It's a red and white spiral barrel type thing that you stand on.
Oh yeah, that stupid little.
Yeah. All you're supposed to do is when you're on it, in time with the way it's moving, you press up and down. That's all. And then eventually you'll get below, and there'll be a gap that you can just jump through. And then you continue the level. Yeah, that's a notorious section. And actually, as a kid, I had gotten stuck on that part a lot as well. So yeah. I can kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's just some strange unexplained things, and that sometimes it just kind of throws things at you to teach you, because it doesn't want to stop the gameplay because it's very speed oriented. But a lot of times it's kind of you're throwing a puzzle in the middle of a platformer, rather than it being a puzzle platformer or something. Yeah.
I can see that, especially because one of the things I really like about Sonic is the level design as the older games went on. Grew very expansively because they started to accommodate different characters and their special abilities. Yeah. So Knuckles can climb walls and glide. Tails can fly and swim. Sonic goes fast. And then in Sonic 3, for example, he had different abilities that he can get from different pickups. So there was an electric shield that let him double jump, a fire shield that let him do a flame fireball forward. Water bubble that would let him bounce. And the level design accommodated all these different abilities, and because of that, it made the levels more complicated. But for that reason also, that there was different pathways that each character can take. And so no level played the same depending on the character that you played as. That can make things complicated. And that's why I can see why someone could get lost. But I actually really enjoy that because that's something that no other video game franchise does. Like, you play through Mega Man X4, and you can play as either X or Zero. Playing as either character doesn't matter because the level design is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it's also not because those levels were designed for X and not Zero, so that's why a lot of people say playing through that game as Zero is hard mode, because those levels aren't designed with him in mind.
Yeah. It's always weird when developers do that, when they have something and then it's like one of the things that you can play as something else, and then it just totally doesn't work because it's not designed for that.
Yeah. That's something I really appreciate. The same thing can actually be said about Mario. You know, it doesn't really take into consideration that Luigi can jump higher and he's slipperier.
Yeah.
You know, or that or especially Peach, who can float, and it completely bricks the game usually.
Especially if you use some of the older Mario physics, such as the original Mario 2, where it had wind physics.
Yeah. Then it's like, forget about it.
Yeah.
That's why everyone wanted to play as Peach. That's why everyone still wants to play as Peach. I'm surprised she hasn't been a playable character more often as a result.
We can get into that one later.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Sonic, I can see. I think that's the appeal of Sonic, though, is that it's not as straightforward as a Mario game. Now, yeah, that does make for sometimes some complicated and abstract ideas, like especially when you're supposed to be going fast. Sonic games do have a tendency to throw certain kind of puzzles at you, and that can some people see it as breaking up the gameplay, like the pacing.
Yeah.
And I think if you only see Sonic as a game where the point is to go fast, then you're correct. But I think if you see it as a platformer that has a variety of ideas in it, then this is something to be expected.
Yeah.
But
well, I guess it's like a lot of times, like when you think of other platformers, especially when I think of like Super Mario World specifically, there are a lot of times in like the new Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
Where you have to be running and jumping and running and jumping. It's less of that, and it's more of, hey, this is what's happening, figure it out. And it uses platforming to get around all that, but at the same time, it also brings you to like a complete stop most of the time when it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's all very like just preference.
Yeah, I can see that. Shawn, what's your favorite Sonic game?
I would say this is going to feel like a cliched answer, and I'll explain why. But I'm going to say Sonic Generations, actually.
Okay.
Even though I said that the only Sonic game I've ever completed fully is Sonic Heroes, Sonic Generations quite literally takes all of the best of Sonic and puts it into one compilation. And it shows that they do respect some of the older levels from the older Sonic games, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and brings it with some of the stuff that's better in the newer generation. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, the other Sonic games that we don't want to mention.
Yeah, I was going to say there's one very glaring opposition to what you're saying, but
it shows, old Sonic going against new Sonic, and seeing that it was a celebration of Sonic's legacy, I feel like it was very fitting because it showed not only why old Sonic was good, but why new Sonic is good as well. Because I think we can both agree, I don't know if you will, but but in my opinion, old Sonic and new Sonic are not one and the same.
No, they're not. They're different styles of games because the newer Sonic games have more of an emphasis on the speed aspect. The platforming side of things has kind of taken a backseat, unfortunately.
That's why I feel like old Mario. That's why I feel like Mario these days is the same Mario. It's the same Mario over and over and over again, and you know what to expect. When there is clearly an old Mario and a new Mario, or an old Sonic and a new Sonic, and Sonic Generations perfectly blends those two together.
Yeah.
Because it has the old Sonic sections where you have, little pudgy Sonic, and he's just, oh, hey, look, I'm short and fat, and I have most of my old Sonic stuff. And then new Sonic's just like, well, I'm going to be all 3D and adventure-y, and you just suck, old Sonic.
Dang.
Whereas Mario is just, oh, hey, I'm Mario. I'm the same every way, and I have no personality whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But-
I agree with that. Like, even as a big Sonic fan, I personally do think that the Mario series overall has a better, like, track record. Like, it's very rare that you get a bad Mario game. As a matter of fact, I think there's only one, in my opinion, of the main platforming games. I think there's only one bad one. And
Which one?
it's Sunshine.
Okay.
But I also think that the Sonic series is a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think.
Like, because they try so many different things, sometimes to a fault, whereas Mario games hardly try anything different at all, also to a fault. Like, the more recent Mario games have been very derivative. And the Sonic games, even though it's like, okay, you did something good with Generations, just stick on that path, they don't. They do something different, like with Lost World, and unfortunately, Sonic Boom.
That's something I feel like a lot of people have talked about with Sega. It says, okay, Sonic Generations did good, just do more of that. But we don't want to get too stale, so we'll just branch out to this path with Sonic Lost World. Okay, Sonic Lost World, you need a bit of improvement, but if you stick with that and improve it and refine it, nope, we're going to move on to another thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with Sonic Boom, and this is something that I really hope is just a wild criticism, and that's the fact that it was shoved off to another studio. Sonic Team is still working on a core Sonic game, which I hope is something along the lines of Lost World or even Sonic Generations, or something even akin to the classic Sonic adventure games.
Mm-hmm. Sonic
Boom, Rise of Lyric, and Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal were made by Big Red Button Studios and Sanzuru Games, both of which are, if I'm going to be completely honest, not really top-tier developers. Big Red Button, I believe this was their first game, and Sanzuru Games had previously done ports or have worked off of other people's IP. They've never had an IP of their own.
Yeah, they did good with Sly 4 Thieves in Time.
Yeah.
But that game took forever to make. Like, more than it should have for how long we knew about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. I feel like Sonic Boom we can almost kind of write off as just a side project while Sonic Team worked on the real Sonic game. If you get what I'm saying.
Here is my counteract to that. Normally I would say you're right, and as a matter of fact, Sega has actually said that this is a spin-off. They have said that Sonic Boom and the Sonic Boom universe is a spin-off. However, the spin-off consists of 2 games, merchandise, a cartoon show, and all this stuff more push than anything the normal Sonic series has gotten in years. So I wonder, is this spin-off just a word just to not freak out fans, and this is actually the direction they're going in? And if it's not, then why haven't they said anything about another game? If this is such a spin-off, then they would also say, well, here's, the next thing in the mainline Sonic series.
Yeah.
And all we've heard is about a 3DS game that's going to be a sequel. Fire and Ice. That's the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the reason they did it was, I think they said that it was that because they just wanted to take a chance and see if any new ideas could get out, and this would be like a way to see which way Sonic fans want Sonic to be, because it seems to be pretty split. Because there are people that do like certain Sonic games, and like 2D versus the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was just their way to kind of attempt to gauge interest, but they didn't do a really good job at it because the game wasn't that.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. I actually think Sonic Boom is not that bad. I played it and reviewed it for the site middlenowheregaming.com, and I mean it's not terrible. I mean it's nothing like Sonic 06.
Yeah,
which
that was
I have not talked about, but quite frankly, the only reason I haven't is because there will be a podcast on just that game.
Just that game. It's weekly, just every week.
Well, no, it'll be in the far future.
Yeah,
but there's gonna be talk about that game. Don't you?
I'll just say this. I will say this in defense of Sonic 06. Esteban, do not kill me.
Choose your words wisely.
I will.
Okay.
Sonic 06 was not a product of the full Sonic team at that point. It was with pretty much half of the Sonic team, because half of the team worked on Sonic 06, which they did with next-gen hardware that was frankly untested at the time, seeing that the Xbox 360 did come out in 2006, and they were working with the Xbox 360, but the other half of the team was working on, I believe, Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Yeah, it
was either in the Secret Rings or in the Dark Knight, and the Black Knight, which is basically one of the Wii U titles, which is almost equally as bad, but doesn't get criticized because it didn't get as wide of a coverage. Mm-hmm. And they did try something new. It was just rushed, buggy, untested, had a very ridiculous plot, a very barren and empty hub world, and I feel like given another year or two, Sonic 06, would then be called Sonic 08, would have been a magnificent title, but given the fact that, hey, it's the next-gen hardware, we wanted to show Sonic in next-gen so quickly, I feel like it's because of that they just ran back to those tropes. And I feel like the design of Sonic 06 reflects that.
3 points. 1, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I never take that as an excuse, because at the end of the day, this is still the product that we're given, and we have to assess it as such. 2, even if all of that were true, that story would still exist, because that's what they wanted. 3, it also had I will also agree with you on another thing. The timeline was about a year, maybe a little more, which it was terrible, and they should have never done that, and is actually the case for every Sonic game. Everyone talks about how Call of Duty is annualized. Sonic has been annualized since his inception, unfortunately. Yeah. If you go down the line, there has been a brand new Sonic game every year since he was a thing in 1991. Every single year, brand new of some kind. There's only a couple of years where it hasn't been a brand new game instead of a compilation. But for the most part, yeah. And there's typically more than one game.
Yeah, he's right.
I mean, I agree with you. Sonic 06 is shit, and it should be, Sega should pay for that. But I'm just saying, in defense of that, there are reasons why it's shit.
Yeah.
No, there's excuses, then there's reasons, then there's, why the fuck did you make this game? And Sonic 06 is the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, okay, We've hit the 30-minute mark, so let's start to wrap things up. I personally still like Sonic because of despite like a lot of the recent games like we talked about, Sonic 06, Sonic Boom, Sonic Lost World, I think is a good game, although it's not great, and even Sonic Unleashed, which we didn't get to. These games are flawed and they're not very good, and I do not enjoy them. But I still enjoy the character because he is a lot more interesting than I think a lot of video game characters meant for children typically are. And one of these things is like in Sonic and the Black Knight, there's a scene where that whole game is designed around like medieval times, and like all the different Sonic characters are designed to be like Sir Lancelot and stuff like that. There's a scene in that game where Sonic has just beaten up, I believe it's Shadow or Knuckles. I can't quite remember, but it's either Shadow or Knuckles. And afterwards, it's like, okay, you defeated me. Go ahead and kill me, because I will die a knight in honor. And Sonic refuses to. And he's like, why not? You dishonor me by not killing me? And Sonic goes, just because you've lost doesn't mean you have to give up. You can always try again. You can always remember that. And then he runs away. That right there is what I like about Sonic. He is the type of character to me that I describe Sonic as the jock in school that's nice to nerds. He's someone who is big and powerful in a lot of ways. He has a lot of confidence in himself, but he never gets that confidence from taking other people down. His power is not made by being taken from someone else.
It's by making friends.
He gets his power from himself. That's what I like about, and because of that, also though, his confidence is also his downfall. In Sonic Lost World, it's his arrogance that's caused a lot of the problems in that game to begin with. So it's also the fact that he can make mistakes. Even being a good guy can make mistakes, but it's still all okay. And this is a good message I think that kids can get. That kind of stuff is what I really like Sonic about. What I really like about Sonic.
Sonic. That's what about like Sonic.
It's just a very human character, despite the fact that he's a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog.
Yeah.
That kind of character, I think, has a lot of potential that could still be realized, especially with the many ideas that have been in the games and have worked. And I just hope that those ideas come together in a good game soon. Because there hasn't been a good game since Lost World, and there hasn't been a great game since Generations, if you're being generous. Probably Sonic Adventure, or even Sonic 3, if you're being honest.
When did Sonic CD come out?
1992. 93.
Okay.
93. It came out the same year as Sonic Spinball.
Sonic CD is pretty enjoyable from what I played.
Yeah, that's a really good game. Any other thoughts on Sonic?
I think you summarized it really well. I think Sonic is a better character than most platforming characters like Mario, because he has no personality. Sonic has a personality, and he seems to have like a bit more depth, as much depth as a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog can have. But like he's an actual character. He's just like, that's what I like about Sonic, is the fact that he's not just like generic save the world guy. Like, he's Sonic. So
what you see is what you get.
Yep.
Shawn?
One, I would just started to bust out in Sonic's, theme song here, but I will spare you all of my singing.
Well, which one?
But the one that everybody knows from the cartoon series.
There was 3 cartoon series.
The one that
Actually, no, I'm wrong. There was 4 now, because Sonic Boom is now a thing.
Yeah, well, the one where he said he was the fastest thing alive.
Oh, that's Sonic the Hedgehog, or as it's known, Sonic Sat AM.
Yeah, that one.
Ain't the fastest thing alive.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna sing.
You should.
I'm not gonna sing today.
Just let your freak flag fly.
Oh God!
In a later episode, you will hear me singing. But to me, Sonic feels like, if I have to be completely honest, me in high school and me in college.
Okay.
Whenever people are in high school or even college, they don't know who they want to be just yet. They don't know how their future is going to be. in childhood, they're kind of a product of their times. People will always talk about 90s kids or, millennials, and talk about how their childhood is shaped by the environment around them. Sonic in the early years is modeled by the environment that's around him, aka 2D mascot platformers. Although he is shaped by Sega, more modeled by his parents, who encouraged him to go fast, follow his dreams, something like that. And now he's kind of going through a phase where he's trying to discover who he is in this new world of video gaming. He's tried several different things out. He's tried a fighter. He's tried several racing games. He's tried, an edgy hardcore story with guns and tanks and all this type of stuff. He's tried a romantic spinoff with some sort of human girl. He's had an edgy fighting phase where he turns into a werehog for some reason.
Which that term makes no sense.
It doesn't, but let's carry on. And he's trying to find his identity, and I feel like that's what he's going through right now. Where he's trying to find out how exactly he fits into this day and age. Sonic is trying to be like Mario. Mario has found his place. Mario's doing his thing, that same thing he's been doing for years and years and years, and people love it. Sonic is trying to find that place, and he hasn't yet. And once he has found that place, then he's going to shine like the brightest star in Sega's sky, like the apple of Sega's eye. And I'm just waiting for that one place where he will find it. But he's yet to find it. And I feel like this is just his experimental phase. But there will be a day when Sonic the Hedgehog is brought back into the public memory, and people's thoughts will not be, just another Sonic game, and more like, yes, this is the Sonic game I've waited years for.
I hope for that too.
That'd be nice. We could always use more good games.
All right. Well, at the end of every Flashback Arcade, we have our special segment, Flashback Essentials. Shawn, you have our very first one. Please take it away.
All right. For those of you that are new to the podcast, which you all should be, since this is our first episode, a Flashback Essential is basically a retro game that we feel like everybody should get a chance to play. Something that's some retro game that has shaped the industry into what it is today. And I feel like my game that I'm picking today is one of those games, mostly because it is one half of an entire freaking subgenre of games. It was created by Konami. It was released for the PlayStation 1, and it's still one of the games that people hold near and dear to their hearts. I am, of course, talking about Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now, even though this was, I believe, like maybe the 5th or 6th Castlevania game to hit after Castlevania Simon's Quest, Castlevania Dracula's Curse, and then Super Castlevania 4, and I believe Bloodlines before it. But Symphony of the Night brought along a bunch of elements, such as backtracking, getting multiple weapons, gaining new abilities as you go along, basically bringing in a bunch of RPG-like elements into this, essentially a platformer, carrying on the Castlevania name. And I feel like, given the quest that you're going on, given the different transformations, given how much it is represented into the console space today, especially whenever you see several Metroidvania games, such as Guacamelee or Cave Story or games like that, I feel like, looking back on this game, which, I bought on the PlayStation Network not too long ago for my Vita, so I can just play through it again. Get the feeling of, I can see why a lot of people want to borrow elements from this game, because it is such a magnificent game to borrow from.
Okay. Well, real quick, I just want to update a little bit on your list. There were also a few MXX Castlevania games, a few Game Boy games, and most importantly, Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which is actually the game right before Symphony of the Night.
Oh, right.
Just so no one is,
or Dracula X if you're on the Super Nintendo.
Right. Just so no one gets mad at us.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be honest, I played through Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the Xbox 360. That was the first time I ever got to play it. I thought that game was good, not great. In terms of the whole Metroidvania genre of games, I am much more on the Super Metroid side of things. I think that game is amazing. Castlevania Symphony of the Night came across as a bit mundane, yet fun. And the one thing I really had a problem with was the secret second half of the game, where you play the whole game over again on a inverted castle. That seems lazy to me.
Well, you, sir, are a miserable pile of secrets.
It's because the layout, I know like it's not exactly the same, but the layout is more or less the same. And I'm like, why didn't you just design a brand new castle? That would have made this a lot more interesting. Instead, I'm going through the game twice.
I like the game. It's fun. I've been playing it. I think they improved upon it in later iterations, but I feel like that's the one that really hit it. Okay, someone just yelled. I feel that game hit it like a really sweet spot in mixing like Castlevania style gameplay with what it does with Super Metroid. And I feel like it just struck a really good balance between those two things, and that's the reason why people keep pulling from it. And there's more games, like there's Bloodstained coming out, and then we had Guacamelee, and there's tons of other good games that were just take in that same sort of vein. Yep. As far as the game controls, I feel later iterations were like the better ones, but I feel like that was a great first step in a giant leap for the Castlevania series.
I'll say this much about Symphony of the Night. Before that game, the only series really doing that style of game was Metroid. And after Symphony of the Night, it became its own genre of, its own design.
Yeah.
And I guess for that amount of time, then it became something that you would see those games do. Like, I don't remember there being a lot of imitators. Like, it was just Metroid and Castlevania doing that. But the blueprint has not really changed since that game. Like, even though Metroid is the one that created that idea, Symphony of the Night, for better or for worse, is the one that set the standard.
Yeah.
So, I don't hate the game. I like the game. I just don't think it's as amazing as everyone else thinks it is. So, I'll allow it.
Yeah, I definitely approve. I think that's one of the better games that I just recommend to someone, especially if they've never played like any Metroidvania game before or any Castlevania game. Like, I feel like that's kind of my go-to for that series from what I've played.
Yeah. Oh, I will say one thing though. If you do want to play Symphony of the Night, maybe play the PlayStation Classic version on the PS3, or get the original one, because the 360 one has the cutscenes removed.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
Yeah. The game was released during a time when Xbox Live had like a file limit on it.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And so they had taken it out for that reason. And it's strange too, because they eventually removed the file limit and they never went back and like updated it. So
yeah, that is really weird.
Yeah.
A couple of things. One, it's also on the PlayStation Vita as well, which is where I suggest playing it. And if you don't have a PlayStation Vita, one, go out and play a PlayStation Vita, and two, buy out many other games that are on it that you will hear us talking about in the future. And secondly, I will agree, Symphony of the Night is not a perfect game. And this is just a disclaimer for all future Flashback Essentials. These are not necessarily perfect games. These are just games we feel like shape the industry into what it is today.
Sure.
And I think that Symphony of the Night is not a game that plays perfectly. I wish that there was a way I could just move forward a lot faster. Because I feel like I just go so slow at the beginning of that game. And I feel like there are a couple things that are off. But at the same time, I keep going back to it. I keep playing it. I feel like the voice acting is incredibly bad to the point of it being corny.
Oh, it is. But it's funny for that reason.
It's iconic. It's iconically corny. And, the soundtrack to it, especially, I believe its version of Vampire Killer is so good.
Yeah. Oh, you just reminded me of something else. Another way you could play it is there's a remake of Rondo of Blood on the PSP, and then if you play through that game, it unlocks Symphony of the Night.
Oh yeah, it's the Dracula X Chronicles is the name for that. It's Castlevania: The Dracula X Chronicles.
Yeah, that. Not to be confused with Dracula X on the Super Nintendo or Castlevania Chronicles on PlayStation 1. Those are different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it obviously has my vote up. What about you guys?
Yeah, I voted.
I'll allow it.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So it goes into the essentials.
The first one.
Da-da-da-da.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right. Well then, that concludes the very first episode of the Flashback Arcade. Thank you very much for anyone who may be listening. To see more of our stuff, please go to middleofnowheregaming.com. We are writers and editors there, and you can read our reviews and opinions and editorials and features and news stories and all bunch of good stuff like that. To follow us individually, you can follow me, Esteban Cuevas, at Colorwin on Twitter. And I also have my own personal blog that you can go to at colorwin.wordpress.com for some of my work as well. Shawn, how can people follow you?
People can follow me at Little Big Ham. That is Little Big Ham with 2 M's on it. Then you can follow me there on Twitter. I also have a WordPress that is now defunct, but probably will be adding a little more stuff on as days go on. littlebigham.wordpress.com. And you can also find me on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, and Nintendo ID as Little Big Ham as well.
That's actually a good point to make. For my WordPress blog, Colorwin is spelled with a Y instead of an I. That's a good thing I should have pointed out. But yeah, that's Shawn. Charlie, how about you?
Most of my stuff is at CN Savidge, so that's CNSAVIDGE. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitch, the whole thing. Then you can look out for my articles on middleofnowheregaming.com. And, well, yeah, that's about it.
All right. Cool. All right. 1 episode in the bag. Yay!
Yay. We did it.
All right. I'm going to go get a Chaos Emerald. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.